Hello and welcome. This is an introduction to behat, or behat, some people say. My name is Wahab Qureshi, and I'm presenting Inevitable Tech, which is my company. I've been automating with behat for about 7 years or more, and I've been developing in general with PHP for about 10 years. So yeah, let's get into it. I'd like to share my knowledge with you guys. Hopefully it's going to be good. So who's this talk for? Devs who are interested in automated testing, so any dev. It doesn't necessarily have to be a PHP developer, but it's especially suited for PHP developers. And if you are a QA automation engineer who's looking into picking up a new language or new tools to automate with, then this is also for you. What is behat? A framework to automate business expectations. This statement is very important because it sets the scope of what we intend to automate with this testing tool, which is business expectations. Anything that the business does not expect, or it's too low a level, such as the code itself, it probably shouldn't sit within behat, although there are some exceptional cases where the need arises. But we will dive into those later on. What can you use behat for? So functional testing is what we're looking at when it comes to behat automation. We are trying to execute and replicate human behavior, or sit as close as possible to human behavior where we can, because humans are expensive and machines do it cheaply, and also machines don't make assumptions like humans do when it comes to repetition of the same tests over and over again. So some examples of that would be website automated testing, API automated testing, and command line automated testing. Why should you use behat when there are so many alternative tools available, particularly in the PHP world? So behat is a tool that encourages behavior-driven development. When I say encouragement, it's because behavior-driven development doesn't start when you start to automate your stories or your requirements. It starts on a much earlier level when you're talking about the requirements that you're going to build. The syntax that we're going to be writing down in the tests is called Gherkin, and it's extremely human readable. An example of that could be, given I am on the home page, will I fill in search with news, then I should see articles related to the news category only. Code abstraction. So given we're going to be writing these statements, which it seems plain English, there is that abstracts all of the code, so you won't actually see any of the this, call this method, or call this function, and that sort of thing. It's just going to be these plain English lines that we're going to be writing. Behind the scenes, yes, there is going to be code executed, and at some point we'll be writing our own code to execute these lines. But what the end result looks like is usually these lines, and when you look at these lines, you can instantly see what's actually happening. You don't have to decipher the code, you don't have to go into multiple files, you can just see exactly what's going on. Off-the-shelf extensions, there are like a gazillion extensions available for behat at the moment. Not a gazillion, but they are in the thousands, and they provide a lot of capability to this tool. So yeah, that's something for you to explore. Community support, there's a huge community built around it. The people who build extensions, maintain extensions, have different material, articles, and Stack Overflow help is available as well. And it's got Selenium integration, and the reason why I've pointed out Selenium integration on its own is because it's a very popular tool in terms of automation. What's the testing strategy for testing a website that has multiple components, say for example the graphical user interface as outlined by this infamous testing pyramid? Then there are API calls, there is an integration layer, there is multiple components involved, and then there is on the very basic level, the code itself, the functions that are executed behind each click or each visit. So behat, where it sits, is in the GUI layer and in the API layer mostly. It can also do integration tests, but again, at this point we are probably crossing the line for what behat will actually build for, and crossing a line has a cost to it as well. So we'll explore other tools as we move forward with these series that can actually go further into this triangle. But it's really the GUI tests and the API tests that we're going to be focusing on, and they are really end-to-end tests that they want to basically replicate what a user will do on your website, but it's just a machine executing that behavior instead of a human itself. So let's get into that. And that is it. Leave any questions and comments below. Hopefully I'll get back to you soon. Next up, let's automate some.